Well, welcome, Sister Mary Hughes, back to your Western community, the Western branch, we call it. We have such fond memories of your being with us for our 125th anniversary. We love that statue of Dominic. We see it all around in various photos as well as in reality. Many of us have also had great experiences in Brooklyn and Amityville, thanks to your hospitality and the charism of hospitality that our ancestors have passed on to us in Williamsburg and continuing. Mary has come to this role of prioress for the second round. In between, you served as college administrator and now have been rechosen. That's what some of us call that, rechosen, for another term. We continue to have much to learn from you and our Dominican ancestors in Amityville. As we look at the present and possible futures of your daughters here in Mission San Jose, and specifically in the United States, we're looking at three different governance structure options. One is continuing the United States sisters with the governance of the Congregational Council. A second being forming a United States province, and thirdly, the possibility of forming a United States region. Your congregation, our mother congregation, has a province in Puerto Rico. The United States Sisters in Amityville remain under the direction of the Congregational Council. How did you come to that decision, Mary? And is that current structure working the best for you today?
Thanks, Rosemary. First of all, I'm just really delighted to be able to communicate with everyone. I'm sorry I'm not there in person, but I have so many wonderful memories of being in Mission San Jose. But there are some remarkable similarities, I think, in where we've come to on this. Your missions were in Mexico. The same year that you began in Mexico, we started our mission on the island of Puerto Rico. And that's exactly what Puerto Rico was for us. It was a mission. And so many sisters from the north were assigned at that point to go down and to work in those various missions and to help the sisters to learn English. At that point, because of the influence of the sisters, there were many vocations that came from the native population of Puerto Rico. And that's been a great blessing to our congregation. Over time, Puerto Rico did become a province, but that's when we had our whole community divided into provinces. So, for instance, in California, a region. In California, you might have a region in the north, you might have a region in the south because of the geographic distance. Because of our population of sisters, we were divided into geographic regions right here. So there might be regions in Brooklyn, a region in Queens, a region in Nassau, a region in Suffolk, and Puerto Rico then became a region. So we moved from the status of mission to region. And it was in the 80s that the question began to arise that could Puerto Rico become a province on its own? At that point, thanks to the foresight of some of our North American sisters who had been missioned there, they were much more attentive to being sure that any sister in Puerto Rico who wanted to be educated could be educated. And they really took on themselves the project of making sure that as much leadership and talent as could be developed in Puerto Rico would be developed. And so that issue was brought to a congregational chapter. It had come up for discussion at several points before. I can't say that I remember in great detail what happened. In those days, of course, I was not in leadership. I was what you would call Sister Susie Snowflake out there doing my own ministry and aware that we had a province, a region in Puerto Rico, but not much more than that. But the sisters came and they did a wonderful presentation at a chapter session. Was it as sophisticated as ours might have been at that point? Perhaps not. I remember being there for it. But it needed to be a chapter decision as to whether or not it would formally become a province under the constitutions of the United States. but perhaps with some specific kinds of directives that would guide them in their specific location. And so I remember being there at that chapter session. It was not the best attended session of chapter as I remember them, but we had a quorum. In 1988, the sisters in Puerto Rico brought to the chapter body a proposal that they become a province. I was at that chapter session. I don't remember that it was the most widely attended chapter session, but when the sisters did the proposal and they talked about all the reasons why they felt it was important to them, part of that was cultivating their own leadership, being able to be more responsive to their local island needs without having to have every single decision run through Amityville. The question really became, why not? And so it was overwhelmingly passed in the chapter of 1988, and we had approval from the bishop in 1989. So we now have 20 years of experience of having Puerto Rico be a province. And I would have to say for us, it has worked very well. And I believe for them as well.